We are excited to show you how to use line of sight and fog of war in EncounterPlus. Now, this is something that you could just use for the DM to see, but it's really most powerful when you're also using it with a second screen so your players can see what's going on. And there's a really cool feature called the web view that lets your players view the map through a browser and interact with their tokens and move them around. That's currently in early access. Let's dive in. So the first thing that we need to do is load a map so we can see how fog of war and line of sight work. So I'm going to tap this book button on the top right corner, go to campaigns, tap my campaign, and then hit the plus button at the top to create a new map. Now I'm going to hit the gear button on the bottom right, scroll down a little bit, and add an image. Now I could add an image right here, but a real quick way to do it is to have files open on your iPad or iPhone and go find the map that you want to use. Today, we're going to be using a couple maps by Cze&Peku. I hope I've said that right. It's Cze&Peku. Go check out their Patreon. They make some incredible maps. So tap into this folder. I'm going to just hold my finger down here and pick copy and then get rid of this. And now when I tap on image here, I can paste the image. And of course, we support video maps as well. Cool. So I've got this in here, but you'll see this map that I chose already has a grid, but EncounterPlus wants to put its own grid on top of it. Now we don't have to, but there's a lot of nice things like measuring or snapping to the grid that I think make it worthwhile if we get this set up. So I'm going to tap Grid Align, and this works best if you start in the top left corner of the map. So I'm going up here near the top left, and I'm just going to make this fit as close as I possibly can, and hit Confirm. Now that looks pretty good, but this is a pretty big map, so sometimes the bottom right-hand side might be off a little bit. That's quite close. I think we got it good. But if it's off a little bit, you can always just tweak the scale of your map until it fits perfectly. There we go. Real easy. So now we've got the grid aligned, and we can turn the grid on or off. And I like to just have it off because this map already has a great grid on it, so we don't need to see this grid, but we could change the color of the grid if we wanted to, mess with it however we like, but we'll just turn it off and let the maps grid do the work. Now I'm going to tap Save in the top right. There's the map. New map's fine for now. And I'm going to tap this Load button to load the map. Tap outside of this window, and here we have our new map ready to roll. Let's go ahead and show this map to our players. I'm going to hit the Screen button on the top left corner, and if I were mirroring, my players could just see it on a TV, but it's a little bit easier for me to actually demo the web server here, so my players can see the map and their tokens through a website. I'm going to tap Done there. Now something I want to point out, even though we're using the map and we're not editing the map like we were when we first did the grid, all the changes we make here to the map itself will still be saved. Now let's say we want our players to start down here in this room. I'm going to tap the up and down button on the top left to add my players into this. Got them in a campaign already, so I'll pick my campaign. And I can double tap in this room and choose Place Party, and there they go. Now this is great, but if you look on the player's screen, they can see the entire map. So the next thing we should do is add Fog of War. This is the quick and easy method to hide parts of the map from your players. On the right side, I'm going to tap the gear, I'm going to turn on Fog of War, tap outside of that, and now you can see the screen has darkened and the players can no longer see the entire map. If I want to show them part of the map, like the room that they're in, on the right side, I'm going to tap the eyeball. I'm going to draw around the area that I want to show, and then tap inside of the area that I just drew. And now they can see there. On the player map, I'm going to zoom in a little bit here so you can see. They can now see that section. And I can tap that eyeball and change so it's not perfectly square and draw whatever shape I want to draw to reveal to them. Cool. Now I'm going to tap on the Move tool on the right side. It's that one with 4 arrows going all directions there. And move the party into here. Let's say they move far enough that I don't want them to see that room anymore. I could just hit that eye, tap it again, change it to the no eye, and draw around what I want to hide. So that's it for Fog of War. Now let's take a look at Line of Sight. Line of Sight takes a little bit more prep, but once it's prepared, it's really cool. And it doesn't take anything extra to run while you're actually moving around the map. So I'm going to hit that Settings button on the right, turn off Fog of War, and turn on Line of Sight. Now you can see these tokens already have a certain distance that they can see. And if we go over to the player map, you'll see that it shows them that area. Now we can adjust how far they can see by swiping left, hitting edit, scrolling down, and changing their line of sight or vision here. They're set to 20 feet of bright and 40 feet of dim light, and we can even change the color that they're emitting right there. I'll save that. So now your PCs have line of sight, but their dark vision is quite good because they can see right through walls. So let's put some walls in here so they can't see through the walls on the map. The easiest way to do this is to move to the floor layer, hit the layers button on the right, and tap on the floor layer. Then tap on the pencil on the top, and I like to make it nice bright orange so it's easy for me to see. And now I just fill in the squares where I want them to be able to both see and walk. I can go a little over if I need to on any of them, and I'll just fill in the area here. If I make a mistake, I just hit the eraser tool and erase any of them that I don't want. Cool. Hit the gear again, scroll down, and choose Walls Generator. The offset will let us push the walls out a little bit further than the full floors that we've made. I like to do that so our players can actually see the art that shows the edge of the walls. Let's see if 41 pixels is good. And then I'm going to turn off continuous. That's good if you've got a slower machine, but if we turn it off, we can edit the walls much more easily, one piece at a time. Generate. You can see the orange lines that show all the walls that we've created. Tap on the move icon on the right, and as we move our players around, they will now automatically only see what they are supposed to. Now, there are a few spots that might need cleaning up here. For example, this little column didn't get it very good. So we're going to switch over to the wall layer. Grab our pencil. Now we can just draw walls in to get some of those harder to reach spots. Over here, because of how far I extended the walls, this one didn't really fill in. So I'll put a wall there, make sure to get that corner. And up here, I put a wall here that I didn't really want, so I'll choose the eraser, redo a couple of these walls. And these little alcoves don't quite match the squares, so we're just going to make our own walls wherever we need them. It's also super handy for these cavern areas that don't match the squares. Just draw a wall. You don't need to follow perfectly. Just kind of go through the center. Usually is enough. But if you want to get really detailed, you can. Going to move back to the Move tool. Double tap to put our players in the cavern. Place party. You can see that these walls work just like the other walls we've made, revealing only what they should be able to see. Now, a little trick with that floor generator. This can help in some tight spaces where they shouldn't be able to see. If we use different colors on the floor layer, each different color is treated as its own set of walls. Put some blue here. I'll just alternate back to orange. And why not do some green over here? Now when I go make walls, I can do each color that I chose separately. Or I can still have it do all the colors, and each color makes a different set of walls. Now, let's say this area down here with these pipes, let's say those are supposed to be secret passages. Well, we can easily put some walls there. But this is a case where the flooring becomes important. If I place my party here, while I'm in initiative, I just hit start on the bottom left. When I drag around, it has pathfinding and it shows me where I can move. But you'll see if I come up here, it just warped right through that wall on the right side. And that might tip my players off that that's actually a secret passage. So if I don't want that to happen, that's where those separate color floors can come in again. If I erase some of these floors that I have over here and make them blue, now my players won't be told to measure their movement through that blue area. This is really helpful when you're using the web view because your players can move themselves. I'm going to turn off the floor layer so we can see this a little more easily. Now that measuring won't go the wrong way. But if I need to go into that area, I can just stop my motion, move in, and it will pick up measuring in the blue section of the floor again. Another important thing to note is that if you want to make sure that the players can't move through the walls, you tap the move icon on the right side and tap this version of it with a little minus on it. Now, it won't let tokens move through those walls at all. And that restrict movement tool also applies to the web view when your players are moving themselves. And because of the floors, it knows that the pathfinding should go the right way. Now let's take a look at a few more little details here. Let's say my players are in this room. Let me add some walls real quick. Well, we can see that there's a candle on the left side there. What if we want them to be able to see this candle from a distance? I'm going to tap the search button on the top, go to packs. We've got this great pack of map assets from 2-Minute Tabletop. They make awesome maps. They also have made all the tokens that we're using for our player characters. Go check out their Patreon as well. They've got a lot of cool stuff. Definitely worthwhile to check them out. Furniture. Let's find a candle here. Cool. Now before I load that candle in, I got to make sure that I'll choose the object layer. We'll just search to get there real fast. Candle, load it up. Great. If I hit the magnet button on the far right, it won't snap. So I can place it right where I want it. Now this candle's not putting off any light yet. So I can tap it, choose Edit, scroll down, Line of Sight, turn that on. 2040 sounds good. Let's make this kind of a warm yellow light. And hit Save. That's a bright candle. Now that's blasting light out anywhere the players can see. Take a look at what it looks like to the players. Let's move some of them away here a little bit. Let's just look at it one at a time to make it clear what's happening. As soon as they get to an area where the walls let them have line of sight to that room is now completely lit up by the candle, but only the parts that the players have line of sight to. Let's add another wall here. As they approach, they see that light is coming out of that room. Cool. Now, for some reason, you wanted that room to be visible even when they didn't have line of sight. No problem. Just get back on that object layer, tap that object again. It could have been a token just as easily as an object. Hit Edit, Line of Sight, and this option down here, Always Visible. While I'm here, I'll turn the opacity down a little. Now, it treats it almost like they're one of the players. Even if they're not anywhere close to it, it will show up on the player map. Well, that's the basics to using Fog of War and Line of Sight. If you have any other questions, check out the Help Center or head on over to our Reddit or Discord. Have fun storming the dungeon.